Iberia Business Class doesn't seem to have the best reputation, and there's no shortage of YouTube videos bashing them. Today I'm finding out for myself as I fly from Heathrow to Madrid on an A330. It should be quite an interesting one. This is usually their long-haul aircraft, but they do offer it on some short-haul routes, making it quite a unique opportunity. To try out a lie-flat seat on an intra-European business class. At least that's what I thought. Well, good morning from Newcastle International Airport, where I'm starting the first leg of this journey with a Club Europe flight down to Heathrow. Let's get going. And the journey down to Heathrow went nice and easy. A really quick check-in process and fast-track security thanks to the business class ticket. And after a quick bite to eat in the lounge, was straight on board and in my seat. Now, I've done quite a few BA Club Europe flights recently on the channel, so I'm not going into too much detail here. I'll just say the food was actually quite good, even though it was breakfast. I'm not usually a fan of the breakfast, but this one was decent. The crew were great. We were on time, which makes a nice change, and we got some great views of London on the way down to Heathrow. We arrived into Terminal 5, which is where Iberia also depart from. And from a quick look at the board, I could see our gate was to be shown about an hour before departure, which is pretty early, so I assume this probably meant we'd be departing from the B or C gates, so I decided to head over to the B gates lounge instead of going to the normal ones in the A gates. This is usually a quieter lounge than the others, but actually today, just due to the departures that were in there, or maybe because the secret's out, it was actually really packed out the whole time, so it was difficult to get a seat at first. I choose one by the window, grab some food and have a coffee. And I did move around a bit whilst in this lounge, just because it was busy. If I did spot an area that was a bit quiet, I would just go over there for a bit. Just before we got the gate, I did treat myself to a quick glass of fizz with a splash of orange juice, and then got the news that we were departing from the C gates. So it looks like I made the right call coming to this lounge. I went back down to the walkway. I always take this rather than getting the train, and went over to the gate. For boarding, there were different lines for the different group numbers. Being in business class, I was in group 1. But once you got through these lines, they were letting everyone through to the area behind this, which was getting pretty packed out. It was quite warm as well. I could see we were going to have quite a long walkway to get to the plane, and thankfully after a little wait here, they did start to let group 1 through. Just the one jet bridge was open, which meant when getting on board, we'd be turning left. And I made my way over to my seat in 4A. The cabin's set out in a 1-2-1 configuration, and not all seats are made equal here. Because the seating is staggered, you'll want an even row seat to get proper window seats, otherwise you're at the aisle. And if you're travelling as a couple, you'll probably want the off-row middle seats, otherwise it's quite difficult to talk to each other. As I make myself comfortable, let's have a look around this seat. You've got the footrest ahead of you, which is in reach to put your feet up. The soft furnishings are comfy, but they do look a bit tired, as do I this morning after a 3:50 AM alarm. But I did notice a few areas of the seat just seemed like they could do a bit of an upkeep really. The seat has some storage, but it is lacking a bit. There's a small space beneath the footstool which could just about fit my shoes, but not much else. There's also this small cubby to the side of you underneath the right hand armrest, which can fit a few smaller items. And then finally there's this section here where the earphones are kept, which you can store a couple of things in, but it is an open space and there's a risk some things could fall out. There's also a clothes hook there. The seat controls to the right, and we'll explore those a bit more once we get up in the air. There's also a remote for the IFE screen to the right of this as well. There's some charging ports available. I did try to plug in one of my chargers into this once we were in the air. Unfortunately, it didn't work at all. I did try adjusting it, but it didn't seem to help. Admittedly though, I didn't try the USB port, maybe that would have worked instead. This armrest to the right is fully adjustable once you figure out how the button works. Yep, got there in the end. However, the armrest to the left is this fixed, skinny thing that your arm can easily roll off. Not the best, not very comfortable. Your tray table is fixed up here, you can unhook that, swing it around and bring it down. It's a good sized sturdy table, it's not the most adjustable, but it is pretty good. There was an in-flight entertainment screen. It was pretty small for a business class seat and very unresponsive. I don't think I ever really got the touchscreen doing what I wanted it to do. It was a sunny but not particularly warm day in London, but it was absolutely roasting in the cabin. There's no individual air vents, so it was pretty warm, and it did stay pretty warm throughout the flight to be honest. Since the main touchscreen had been unresponsive, I thought I'd give a go at this remote. That was also really unresponsive on the touchscreen, but it did work using the buttons at least, so I was able to have a look through the movies. It's a pretty limited selection, but they've got a few new releases, but it won't be winning any awards. Shortly before takeoff, the cabin crew handed out menus. This was printed double-sided with English and Spanish, and there was also a QR code to get this on your phone as well. To be honest, there weren't really any options there that really excited me, but we'll come to that later. As the jet bridge retracted, the safety demonstration started to play, and we started to push back from the stand. And we then started our taxi over to the runway. We did have quite a pause next to the old Concorde as well, which is always nice to see. I'm pretty good, I never got the opportunity to fly in a Concorde, so if you have had that opportunity, please let me know what it was like in the comments. Nice smooth takeoff, and we were on our way. Now during the takeoff I actually started to give the in-flight entertainment a go. I decided I wanted to watch a film. I wanted to try out the provided headphones as well. The quality was pretty average, nothing to get excited about, didn't feel very business class, and I actually found them really uncomfortable. I had to take them off for a while, abandon the film, and I just did my usual thing of putting the in-flight map on in the end. Another flaw I noticed whilst I was watching this is that hook for your coat is right in front of the TV, so if you actually use that hook, your in-flight entertainment's pretty useless to you. But now it's time to get a bit more comfortable. I started by pressing the massage button to see what that would do. It turns out it did nothing. I did try this again a bit later on in the flight. Thankfully it did actually work that time. It didn't work great though, it just kind of felt like someone was shoving their knuckles into your back very, very slowly and gently. All the other buttons work fine though. You can adjust the lumbar supports by inflating part of the seat back. You can move the seat forwards and backwards, and you can also recline it a bit. And I got myself comfortable in a partially reclined position. And I didn't have too long to wait before the onboard service started. Once the tray table's pulled down, you can't really bring it towards you like you can on a lot of business class products, but you can move the seat forward to meet the tray. I wasn't very excited about what was on the menu. None of this stuff is the kind of thing that I would normally go for. The one exception to that is the dessert. The cabin crew initially forgot to bring me my cutlery, but they brought it very quickly once I flagged that to them. And to accompany the meal, I got a little bottle of Cava. No champagne here. I do quite like that they gave the little bottle though, just so I could keep topping myself up. And it saves the cabin crew a job of having to come around topping people up as well. The Cava was pretty good, and so was the food in general. Although they wouldn't be my normal choices, I actually really enjoyed it all. It was actually very good quality. The dessert was probably the bit I was looking forward to the most though, and it did not disappoint. And then finally finished things off with a coffee. Once finished, the tray table can easily be pushed out the way so that you can still access the aisle if you need to. I poured myself another Cava, and I was curious to see once I'd finished this if I'd be offered a top-up or not. Whilst enjoying this, I noticed we'd had a bit of a stowaway in the cabin, although it seemed pretty desperate to get out of the plane. After all that Cava, I needed a quick stop in the loo. Nothing special to report here, the soap wasn't anything fancy, nothing unusual, nothing that would differentiate it from an economy bathroom really. Back at the seat I decided to try out the lie flat mode, and it was a complete fail. The bottom part of the seat would go fully flat, but this top part would not go further than this. I'd hold the button down and it would bob down a bit, and then it would pop straight back up again. I tried for a while and tried standing up, but nothing would sort it. I do think if I was sleeping in here, this foot area would be a little bit narrow, but it is hard to truly judge without getting it into the full flat position. By this point my glass had been empty for a while and someone did come round to collect it without offering anything else. I was a bit cheeky and asked for more Cava, but I was told they've run out of that, but I was offered a white wine and got a Rioja. Which was okay, nothing special. Just after clearing the Bay of Biscay we started to hit quite a bit of turbulence. Nothing too dramatic, but it was bumping around quite a bit for quite some time. Not helped very much by the significant cloud cover over Madrid as we were flying in. Yeah, unfortunately I don't really have any good views of Madrid to show you out the window from this one. It was all a bit grey, and even once we descended below the clouds there wasn't too much to see today unfortunately. As we approached Madrid they started to play a video about how to get around the airport, which I thought was quite a useful thing to do, especially for people with connections. Although to be completely honest I couldn't tell you if it had useful information or not because I kind of got distracted looking out the window. I know I said the views weren't anything special, but I still enjoy looking out and watching them. Once we'd landed, it was a pretty quick taxi over to the gate, and it wasn't too long before we were all let off board. Business class passengers were allowed off first, but to be honest, just based on what Madrid airport was like, it didn't feel like you got big time saving from this. The whole place was absolutely packed out, immigration took forever. But eventually I managed to get onto the metro and over to my hotel in the rain. Right, so I've made it to the hotel, got my welcome glass of cava on the go. I just wanted to summarise overall thoughts on that flight. You know, there's definitely a lot to criticise. I think that it's quite an old product in places. The soft furnishings weren't the best. There was a lot that was broken. The seat wouldn't recline, for example. However, in the context of short-haul European business class, you'd really struggle to find better than that. I know Finnair do a few routes on their A330 short haul from London to Helsinki. That definitely would beat this. But there really aren't a lot of airlines that are doing proper long haul aircraft on short haul routes. So it's worth checking out. If you are planning to go to Madrid, definitely look out for a flight with an A330. Would I fly on that on a long haul route? I think I would. Definitely during a daytime flight. I think perfectly comfortable enough. I'm sure the catering would be different for a long haul flight as well, probably a bit more substantial. But I'm not so sure about sleeping. It's not the most private seat in the world, and it did seem very narrow where your feet are. I do like that it's not a really enclosed space for the footwell. You know, there's plenty of room this way, but it's just very, very narrow, so I'm not sure how comfortable that'll be. Now, when I head back to the UK, I'm going with Iberia again. That'll be on the A320, which is their normal short-haul aircraft, so it'll be interesting to see how that experience compares. It's not going to be as nice. But if you want to see what the normal short-haul experience is like, make sure you subscribe to check out that video. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.